Hi everyone, I'm back again. I know I'm doing a lot of these videos very often, but it's because I've done these tests a while back and they're ready. And like I said, I really wanted to provide people with DNA results, ancestry DNA results from a Coptic person, a Coptic Egyptian. And so a while back in the summer, I had done the DNA Tribes SNP report with DNA Tribes, and it's a great report. It's a test that is done on your SNP markers as opposed to your STR markers. Uh, it's supposed to be something that looks at your ancient DNA. And so, as you could see, it says here it's a proprietary geographical genetic analysis that uses the part of your DNA known as autosomal SNPs to identify your deep ancestry, your ancient ancestry. You have inherited 50% of your autosomal DNA from your paternal and 50% from your maternal ancestors. So I did this test. I find this test to actually be pretty good. I think that my results make sense. There's one thing that didn't quite make sense, but I sent an email to DNA Tribes to try to understand it better. You'll see later on what I mean, but let's just get into it. So, the first part of the analysis is basically just giving your admixture analysis out of 8 continental cores. So you have Amerindian, European, North African, and Middle Eastern, so MENA, Sub-Saharan African, South Asian, Asian Pacific, and Siberian. So I guess this is like your regional admixture. So I get MENA 92.7% and 7% Sub-Saharan African. So I guess you could say I'm pretty much made up of 2 races, and the 7% there is again probably it's all coming from the fact that Egypt has, I think, had such a strong ties with Nubia and Sudan and things like that. The next plot is a multidimensional scaling MDS for 8 continental cores. So you have, again, all of the 8 continental cores there, and it shows where I plot in perspective of these continental cores. So I fall within the North African and Middle Eastern core, but at the end there. So I'm guessing the further I go down is getting closer to European. So it's nice to see this because it gives you an idea of how all of the, I guess, I don't know if races is the right word, but how they all relate to each other. And then here we have an admixture analysis of 53 regional clusters. So they've broken up the world into 53 regional clusters. I'm not going to go into each one, but basically my regional cluster mixture is Red Sea Arab at 23.7%. If I look at where Red Sea Arab is on the map, I'm just trying to find, it's number 44. This is the area that it covers. And I've seen this a lot. I saw this in DNA Land. They always group up parts of Egypt with Arabian Peninsula, and I don't know if it's because we share similar genes, but I don't find that Egyptians and Arabians are the same thing. It should be broken up. Again, I don't have a good idea of what part of my DNA is Arabian, what part is Egyptian, but anyways, I find also that 23.7 is a pretty small number. But again, this is supposed to be looking at my ancient DNA. So Persian Jewish, 15.4%. The Jewish is there again. I don't know, obviously, I don't know why Persian Jewish, but I think it's just meant to show the Jewish in me. 15.4% is pretty high. Lebanese Cypriot, so Levantine around 15%. North African 13.3%, which has always been, I think on DNA Land it was 12%, so that's pretty much the same. Horn of Africa 11.6%. I don't understand why it's 11.6% here, but then when it looks at my sub-Saharan DNA, it's around 7%. And I think it's because Horner DNA is mixed. There's a Middle Eastern component and a sub-Saharan component, and I think that if you break it down, you're able, I have 11% Horner, but only 7% of that is the sub-Saharan DNA. I think that's what's happening there. Italian Greek, 7.7%. Sephardic Jewish, 7%. Turco-Persian, 5.5%. Ashkenazi Jewish, 1%. I have another Coptic friend who pretty much had very similar results to me. We had different results in terms of what populations show up in our ancient history, but our cluster mixtures are pretty much the same. Multi-dimensional scaling, again, 53 regional clusters. I cluster it within the Red Sea Arab part there pretty clearly. I don't seem to be clustering with anybody else, so Red Sea Arab is what I mostly am. So this is where it starts to get interesting. So population admixture for native and Jewish populations. I wish someone could answer this part for me, which is that what's the difference between this and what we had read earlier with the 53 regional mixtures. But basically, I guess this is going less by admixture and going more by actual populations. So my population mixture is 26.3% Bedouin Negev Desert, 26% Yemenite Jewish, 13.5% Libya, 11.1% Afar Ethiopia, 9.6% Lebanese Christian, 8.2% Libyan Jewish, 4% Sahrawi, 1.2% Arab Qatar, and 0.1% other. So I guess if we were looking at my genome and breaking it down by population, this is what I would get. My question is, where's the Egyptian? Where's the Egyptian Copt? And the thing is, I asked DNA tribes at this for this specific SMP update if they did include an Egyptian Copt sample, and their reply was yes. So I don't know why Egyptian Copt is not showing there. It does show up in this part. So this part is the part that I find most interesting. Iterative population admixture, native and Jewish populations. So it does a breakdown based on what's closest to my genome at the top. So Bedouin Negev Desert, 26%, Libya, 14%, Yemenite Jewish, 26%. So that's at the top there. Then the second best admixture for me is 19% Egyptian Copt, 13% Libya, 29% Yemenite Jewish. I don't know where the Yemenite Jewish is coming from. I think it's because Yemenite Jews and Copts have very similar admixtures and very similar DNA. Copts tend to have 0 West African, which is the same case as Yemenite Jews who have 0 West African, only have East African DNA. So I think it's because we are so close in terms of admixture. I don't think I actually have Yemeni Jewish DNA, but I don't know. If someone could explain that to me, it would be great. Third best possibility is Lebanese Christian, 12%, Libya, 10%, Saudi Arabia, 56%, Arab Qatar, 16%, Egyptian Copt, 23%, Libyan Jewish, 15%. I'm not going to go through each one of these. You could see it there for yourselves. But basically, the top best scenario for my ancient DNA is Bedouin, Libyan, Yemenite Jewish. I don't know why Egyptian Copt is not showing up at the top there. Maybe it's because it's my Arabian side. They're showing my ancient DNA. I had more Arabian DNA back in the day, and with North African and Jewish, I don't know. Multi-dimensional scaling, MDS, native and Jewish populations. So it shows you where I plot there. I plot pretty much in the middle of nowhere, but pretty close to Arabians, Bedouins, Egyptian's a little bit far there. Egyptian Copt is really far. So again, is this telling me that my ancient roots were not fully Coptic? Again, please, if someone could explain it to me, that'd be great. And then this is the world genetic grid. This is showing me, my most likely area, but this is not a surprise. Obviously, it's the Middle East. It seems to be mostly red in the Arabian Peninsula, so maybe it's telling me that that's, I don't know if it's telling me that that's most likely where my ancient roots are from, most likely. But again, if someone could explain, that'd be great. And then we get down to the total ancestral fit European populations. This is the part that I had asked the question to DNA tribes about, because I didn't understand, because my top population was not Egyptian Copt, nor was it even Egyptian. So I'm just going to, obviously, I don't really closely match with any European populations, although Southern Europe, is a little bit closer, obviously, to my ancestry. Caucasus, mountains populations, I'm a little bit close to them. So this is where we get to the best fit. Rank number two, Egyptian. Makes sense. It's an Egyptian that's in Lower Egypt. Number 3, Jordan. 4, Saudi Arabia. 5, Syria. 6, Bedouin. 7, Qatar. Number 8 is Egyptian Copt. I don't understand why Egyptian Copt is so much lower down. How am I closer to a Jordanian than an Egyptian Copt? But again, in ancient times, we don't know. I don't know what the migration patterns were of my ancestors. But I do know that my paternal side most likely came from Northwest Arabia. So maybe that's why it's showing up high up there, like Jordan, But still no number 1. We don't see what number 1 is. Number 1 is, well, you could see this is my total ancestral fit in Africa. My top one there is Libya, which makes sense. And I hold some affinity to the Horners and other North Africans, which makes sense. I'm not really close to any sub-Saharan Africans. East Asia, of course, I'm not close to them at all. Oceania, obviously, nothing to do with them. North Asia, nothing. I'm just going to get to the point. South Asia, as you could see, not really close to them. Native American, not really close to them. So diasporic populations, you could see where number 1 is Yemenite Jewish. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but that is my number 1 population. And I asked DNA tribes about that, and they said it's because, like I said before, we have a lot of genetic signatures that are similar to Yemenite Jews. My genome just happened to fit better with a Yemenite Jew than an Egyptian Copt or an Egyptian, and that's why it showed up as my number 1. So I thought that was very interesting. If anyone obviously wants to comment on that would be great. That's it. That's all I have. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment. Please tell me all your thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.